So we continue the service with our healing minute. So if you'd like to add on some to the healing list, please put them in the chat now. So we have Berta and Fanta, Steve and family, healing for Eleanor and Jim, Ellie and Kate, Sadie McKnight and family, Elizabeth, Ava and John, and Lynn. There's also Luke. And I put Arnold in there. And from Susie, there's Roy and family. Divine Spirit, Father God, we ask that the names that have been around this morning are touched by your healing energies, administered by those loving angels. We ask that each one is granted respite from whatever ails them, and that they feel whole and able to live their lives fully. And we ask this in your name, which is now and eternally love. Amen. So I'm now going to ask if Jenny will do her reading, and this will be followed straight away by her philosophy. Thank you, Jenny.
Okay, thank you, Martin. The reading that I've chosen this morning is from a book called Walking in Wonder by John Donahue. So, is there a place where our vanished days secretly gather? I think there is, and I think the name of that place is memory. Memory to me is one of the greatest sources, one of the greatest treasure houses of wonder. You look at humans walking around on the streets, in houses, in churches, out in the fields, and you realise that each one of these creatures is carrying within himself or herself a whole harvest of lived experience. You can actually go back within yourself to great things that have happened to you and enjoy them and allow them to shelter you and bless you again. One of the negative aspects of temporary life is that there is a disrespect for memory. Memory is now attributed to computers, but computers don't have memory. They have hijacked the notion. Memory now seems almost exclusively on past woundedness and hurt, some of it induced, some of it real. It's sad that people don't use their good memories and revisit them again and again. The harvest of memory is within them, and live out the riches of that harvest rather than the poorness of their woundedness. Memory as a kingdom is full of the rules of presence. It's fascinating that in your memory, nothing is ever lost or finally forgotten. We've all had experience of this. Sometimes that needle of thought finds its way into a groove of memory, and suddenly an experience that you no longer remembered comes back, almost pure and fresh and intact to you. So memories define who we are. They house all our hurt and our joy and our sorrows. And without memory, you wouldn't be who you are, because it gives you that sense of knowing where you're coming from and for your future. And we can remember things that happened to us long, long ago. I mean, isn't it amazing when sometimes you might hear a song on the radio from your childhood? You sing along with it. You remember all of those words. And even if we meet someone for a fleeting moment, we can remember that encounter. And memory means different things because we can all be at the same event together and we'll have different memories. And if you think about, for example, remembrance, that will have different meanings to the nation, different meanings to the spouse, the children, the grandchildren, the friends. So we all have our own idea of memory. And without memory, it would be very difficult to live our lives because we'd forget what was safe for us to do. It would make us vulnerable. We wouldn't know who to help or how to act. So memory is important to us. But who are we? Well, we know that God created us. Just as God created all life form, all of the planets, the galaxies and beyond. And because God created us, that means that we have that aspect of God within us, that divinity, that light. And that's part of our soul. And our soul is that individualization of God. And because God is a life force that is continuous and eternal, that means that we must be as well. And this is the fourth principle of spiritualism, the continuous existence of the human soul. And that means we live forever. And scientists have proved that matter can't be destroyed. It just changes form. And spirit manifests in different form. We've come from the spirit world, and we have our life in this physical world, and we have our body. And when we return to the spirit world, we leave our body behind. But our personalities, our character, they're all the same. We take all that with us. It's just we're in a different environment. It's like having a different address. And when we go to the spirit world, our character doesn't suddenly change. We're still the same person. The only way that we can change is by our own spiritual progression. And spiritualism has proved that life is eternal. There's been many scientific investigations, and we know that we live forever. And for the individual, you may well have a loved one who's come through to you, because it would make sense if you have a relationship here on now in this planet Earth and your loved one passes the spirit, they would come back. They would come back and see that you were fine, see how you were doing. And they can bring strong evidence that you can collaborate so that they can give you proof that the soul lives on and is continuous. So we leave our bodies behind, but what do we take with us? Well, within our soul, there's so many beautiful virtues that we have, all our gifts, all our qualities of our experience, our personality, our memories, and who we truly are. We leave behind our anxieties, our fears, our illnesses, because that's not who we truly are. And so we go back to the spirit world, taking all of our beautiful attributes with us. And we can come back and we prove that life is eternal. Because many of you may have had readings, and maybe your communicator have told you about things that are going on in your family. Maybe if there's babies, divorces, moves, new jobs, and so on. Because they're taking an interest. And spirit can be in many places at the same time. Maybe they've told you maybe simpler things, maybe things like what you had for breakfast, when you went shopping, what you brought, and if you've moved their photographs. And all of this shows evidence that life is indeed eternal. Have you ever been out or doing your business when suddenly you get a feeling, a thought in your head of a loved one you haven't thought about for a while, or maybe something's happened, and that spirit just put that image in your head to remind you that they're with you and they're around you. And we can all communicate with the spirit world. It doesn't have to be through mediums. You could always sit yourself and just send up those messages of love. And have you ever wondered what it would be like to wake up in the morning and not have any memories? And often it can be distressing for us when we see our family, our friends that have memory loss, maybe Alzheimer's or dementia. And we can go and visit and speak to them and see them and be with them. And it can be distressing for us. But do you know what? Their physical body might not remember, but their soul does. And we know this through communication, because the communicators can come back and say, hey, do you remember when you came to visit me in that home, for example? Do you remember we spoke about this and that? And do you remember this? So no one, not even a disease, can ever rob you of your memories. So if our life is eternal, then the important message is to make the most of our life now, whilst we're living on this physical world. And so we can do the best that we can do, and to make memories, to have happy times. And sometimes this can be quite challenging and sometimes be quite difficult, but it's always possible. And to revisit those memories, when we revisit memories, it helps us keep loved ones close to us. And when we return to the spirit world, we don't really know what it's going to be like, but we know from information that we've had that there's nothing to fear. It's a bit like taking your overcoat off. And yeah, you will have a body, but it'll be a much finer vibration. And when we're there, I understand that we can create whatever we want. So if you're someone who likes living in cities, you can create the most beautiful place in a city. If you like living in the countryside, you can create a beautiful house in the middle of nowhere. And there's meant to be beautiful colours, beautiful animals and plants that we've never seen. And we can carry on growing spiritually, and we can learn. And there's meant to be great halls of learning. And we can do the things that we're passionate and interested here. So if we enjoy healing there, we can do it in the spirit world. So there's nothing to fear. And life is indeed for living. And when we take away that fear and we know that nothing can destroy us, then it makes it easier. It makes it easier to make the most of our life and our time here on earth. And Oscar Wilde, the playwright, said, life is for living. Most people just exist. So I ask you, how are you living your life? Are you making happy memories?
Thank you, Jenny. I'll now play a piece of music before the mediumship, and it's From a Distance by Bette Midler.
Oh.
From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. And there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common land, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every man. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I just cannot comprehend what all this fighting is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. And it's the hope of hopes,
Okay, now we come to the part of the service where Jenny unites the two worlds. If she does come to you, please just answer with a yes or no. And again, if you have to move about, please switch off your cameras so that it doesn't distract the medium. Thank you very much. Over to you, Jenny.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Okay, as I move my awareness to the spirit world, I'm aware that I have a lady who's joining me, and as this lady's joining me, I feel that I do feel that she would be an aunt, and I do feel that, excuse me, and I do feel that this aunt, as this Aunt Joy is close to me, I know that she would be someone who would be very close to who she's here to speak to. I know that this aunt is someone who would have had, she makes me feel that she would be someone who would have had a lot of questions. She was interested in spiritual things before she passed. There would have been a lot of questions. There would have been a lot of discussions about what it was like in the afterworld. So who's this making sense to? Okay, so Fiona, I think got your hand up. So if you could come into the room.
Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Fiona. So you would understand this is your aunt.
Yes.
Okay, and there's no one else. So if I could work with you, Fiona, because it does feel right. And I know that your aunt, as she draws close to me, I know that she's someone who is she's making me aware that she would be very busy. I know that she would like to get things done. And I know that she would be quite prioritize things. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And I know as well that nothing would be too much bother for her because she's making me feel that she just wanted to do what was right.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, because she's a person of integrity,
Yeah.
is what she's making me feel. And I know that she's got a sense of humor because she was smiling at that. So she makes me feel that she's got a good understanding of herself. And it's almost like she doesn't take herself too seriously. You understand?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's correct.
And I know as well, I know that she shows me like the countryside, and I feel that she would be like being outside. Do you understand that?
Absolutely.
And I know that she would have taken great joy in listening to the birds,
Mhm.
and I know that she would have fed the birds. I also know that she would have watched squirrels, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because
on.
she's showing me like squirrels running along the back of the fence. And I know that she was quite immersed in all the sort of the wildlife around her. And it gave her, as she's saying, that it actually gave her a sort of a focus and something to do towards the later years of her life. You understand?
Yes.
And I know as well that there would have been discussion, lots of discussions between you because she had a very curious nature and
Yes.
she had lots of answers that she wanted, and she wanted to know what is going to happen because she's giving me the feeling that she knew that she would pass because of the illness that she had, and she wanted to make sure that she knew what was happening, but also she's making me aware that she wanted to get her life in order. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And I know that there would be discussions, and I know as well that 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 you would have given lots of explanations to her. Would that make sense
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, and obviously I know a little bit about you, Fiona, but I also know, would you also understand that you would have shared some of her paintings with her, because she's taken me to some of your paintings. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to send them to her.
Yeah, because I know that this would have given her great joy, your paintings, and I know that she would have told you that she would have looked at them and she would have found lots of different things to
Yeah.
what you had envisaged. and that you were able to have lots of discussions about that, and that those discussions just helped her move forward. And so it's okay. And so it's like it helped ease her feelings, is what she's
Yeah,
making.
yeah, no, that's correct.
And I also feel as well, she's drawing my attention to crystals. And I also, would that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, and I feel as well that there would have been that she would have also been looking at how crystals could make her feel better, and like sort of crystal healings. Does that make sense to you?
She did do some healing, yes.
Yeah.
Don't know if it was crystals though.
Okay.
I
Because
know she had crystals.
okay, that's fine. But she's just drawing my attention to the crystals. And I know that she's here this morning because she's here because there's so much gratitude for all that you did for her, for those conversations that you had. But she's also very much making me aware that she's been helping you from spirit. And when I say that, I know that you feel her around you. Would you also feel her when you're painting and drawing?
I'm not sure about that, but I know she's around me.
Okay, let me just feel into that, because she's showing me your paintbrush and your painting, and she's just making me feel that she's there with you when you're painting, because she's making me feel that there's this special bond between your artwork. Would that make sense to you?
I was painting yesterday and I was talking to her, yes.
Okay, so yeah, so she's just letting you know that she's around you, and she's confirming that. But I know that you know that already. So she's here this morning, and it's just to say that she's here, and just to keep on painting, keep on being creative. But also, would you understand that she's also encouraging you to share your creativity more? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I can understand what she's saying.
Because it helped her and it can help others. So she's just encouraging you to do that. So if I could leave her gratitude, her love and encouragement with you, and thank you for working with me.
Thank you very much.
I'm now aware that I have a gentleman who joins me, and as this gentleman's joining me, I do know that he's a grandfather. He's making me aware that he's very much a true gentleman, I want to say. He shows me with a flat hat. I know that he I know that he likes whistling, and I know that he's very carefree. He makes me aware as well that I feel that he would have had two dogs that he walked as well. So who understands this as a grandfather? So I've got a grandfather. I know he likes being outside. I know that he had a couple of dogs. I know he likes whistling. And I also know that he would have had good manners. Okay, no one yet. Let me just give you some more information, because as this grandfather comes close to me, he's also humming. I know he would hum as he went out about his way. I know that for whoever this is for, he's showing me a memory, and the memory would be, I feel like it's picking blackberries or picking something from the bushes. So who is this making sense to?
I can place most of that, Jenny.
Okay, so would you understand this as a grandfather
Yes, yeah.
and someone who would have like whistling and humming and being outside?
Yes, yeah.
And would you understand picking the berries?
Well, that was with my grandmother, but that's what's drawn me to it, yeah.
Okay, so if there's no one else, if I can work with you, and then we'll see
Yeah.
how how we go. But you would understand that your grandfather, he makes me feel that he makes me feel like he had his set ways, if that makes sense to you.
Yes.
He liked to routine, and he liked to do things at certain times.
Yes.
And I know that he would have kept time. He makes me feel he's a stickler for time as well. And I know as well that I want to say that he's someone who would have given a lot of time to people. And so he's someone who would have listened well to others. That makes sense to you.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's also showing me as well that he would have enjoyed his time when he was not only when he was outside, but he also liked being inside. So when he was inside, there'd be memories for you of him reading his paper, and I feel that he would be looking at his paper, and he's making me feel that he would be looking at the horses, if that makes sense to you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And not only the horses, but also I feel as well the football pools.
I don't know about that, but certainly the horses.
Yeah. And he would have his favorite chair, he's making me feel that he would sit on.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
And he's showing me, and I feel it would be like it's almost like a sort of a greeny color, would that make sense to you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was his chair, and he also, from this chair, he was able to see the television very well as well. And I feel like he would have decided what was going to be shown on the television, if that makes sense to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was his
Definitely.
no, it was his decision what he wanted to. And I know as well that in the house that he's making me aware that he was in control of the house. It's almost like what he said went. Would that make sense to you?
When my grandmother let him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a sense of humor because he's laughing. He's saying, "Well, she wanted an easy life," so I'm not
Yeah.
sure if that's something that he would have said. And I know as well that there would be these memories, and I feel as well that there would be a lot of memories, not only of you sort of watching television together, but he's making me feel that he would have told you stories about his life and the things that he had done. Would that make sense to you?
Yes. Thank you.
And I feel that he would have spoken about his family life, but also he's making me aware that he would have traveled a lot.
He did. Yeah. Within the UK. He didn't go overseas, but in the UK, yes.
He's just making me aware that he would have traveled a lot. It's like he didn't stay, he's making me aware, and let me just say that his family moved around a lot. They didn't stay in one place. Does that make sense to you?
Well, within the town, they had 3 different houses that they moved to. I can place that way.
Okay, thank you. And I know as well that there would be a memory. I feel I've talked about the berries, but I know that there would be good memories of having that you've told me that your grandmother made pies, but I feel like there would be good memories of almost like it would be a big occasion, like a Sunday lunch,
Yes.
because I feel that he would have liked his roast meat, and I know that he would have liked, the sort of the vegetables and the potatoes and the gravy. And I feel that he's taken me to a memory when the whole family would be together, and these were happy times. And I know that people would have really looked forward to it's like a sponge or a pie with the fruit. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like that this was the thing to eat because there was so much joy. And I feel that there were very happy times with your granddad. And I know that he wants to dwell on those happy times. He does say that Sometimes he could be quite he's the word coming cantankerous later on in life, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, yeah.
But he doesn't want to dwell on that at the moment, because he likes to put himself in a good light. You understand that?
Yes.
And so he's here, Martin. Your grandfather's here, and I feel like he often likes to just come in and pop in and say hello because he can. But also, he's also did you understand then that you sing a lot? Do you sing a lot when you're
Me or him
do you sing a lot?
all the time.
Because he's making me aware. He's making me aware that, like he likes listening to you singing, and and okay, and he's making me aware that he's with you not all of some of the time when you sing, and he likes hearing you sing, and he's sort of saying that when you sing, um, that you're making yourself and everyone else feel better. So it's almost like he's encouraging you, keep on singing, okay? But also to hum and to whistle, because it's that expression and that creativity that he's encouraging you to express. Would that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so if I could leave all his love and his encouragement with you, and thank you for working with me,
Thank you
Martin.
very much, Jenny. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see who we have now. I'm now aware that I have a lady who joins me, and as this lady joins me, I feel this is Mother. I've got a name that may be around her, if it's not hers, of Hilda. And I know that as this mother is joining me, she's making me aware that there would have been two sides to her. I know that there's one side when she's she could be very kind and be very sweet. And I know there's another side to her when she could be quite opinionated. So there's two sides to her. And I know as well that she's someone as well who would have a big presence and people would know who she was. So who is this making sense to at the moment? Got a mother, she's got two sides to her character, she's got a big presence, so people knew who she was. So is that making sense too? Okay, let me just give you a bit more
You've got
information.
Anne. There's Anne Dibben who's just put
Oh,
her.
sorry, I didn't see you, Anne. Anne, can you come into the room?
Thank
So,
you.
Anne, do you understand everything that I've said?
Yes.
And did you understand the name Hilda?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, so I am with you. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I know, and I am with you because I can feel this excitement. So I know that your mother is she's she's a big character. She's got a big presence. And I know that people know her. And I know it's almost like, would you understand then that she's got like a little reputation? Okay, let me explain. Let me explain that. And when I say that, it's almost like sometimes people didn't always know what what to expect when they met her. Would that make sense if I explain it like that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. And I know as well. She says it how it is. There's no beating about the bush. She says it how she is. So she's very, very honest. And I know that sometimes not everyone would have appreciated that honesty, but
Right.
you knew where you stood with her.
Yes.
And you knew that. And also, your she makes me aware that she would be able to tell if people weren't telling the truth or telling lies or weren't being honest, if that makes sense to you. Because she
With my brother and I, she always could, but
yeah, she makes me feel that she's able just to know these things. And so you just can't, you couldn't get away with anything.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah. And I know as well that your mum would also have expected, she's shown me that she would have expected you to have good manners. Does that make sense to you?
Yes,
And I know as well that she's showing me a cake. I feel this would be a memory, and she's taking me. I do feel it would be maybe a cake that she'd made for a birthday or something, but everyone had to wait till it was their turn to take the piece of cake. It's like she's saying everyone has to wait their turn. If that makes sense to you?
not sure. We were always making cakes for
Okay,
birthdays and whatever.
okay, would you understand then that she instilled in you this sort of good manners, wait until it's your turn? Does that make
Hmm,
sense?
yeah,
Rather than just sort of taking things. She's just making me aware that manners are important, but also I know that posture is important because she's making me sit up straight. Does that make sense to you?
yes.
And I know as well that she's got this the two sides to her, but there's this sort of I want to say that she's got this it's almost like this way of knowing. I want to say a way of knowing things. And when I'm saying that, it's almost like she just knows things. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she makes me feel as well that she's very, I want to say like in tune with life because she's making me feel that she has a good understanding of life. Does that make sense to you, Anne?
Mm. Yeah, yes.
And I know as well that she would have had a curious nature. I know as well that she would have asked questions. And again, she would have wanted to know things. And and also is bringing to me that she would have wanted to know things because she would have wanted to answer your questions. Does that make sense to you?
Well, yes.
Yeah, because she makes me aware that she had a lot of knowledge and she shared her knowledge and she shared that by answering questions, but also she takes me, and I feel that this would be a memory when I feel like we're going back of when there would have been that you would have been in the garden, and I feel that you would have been looking at the butterflies, and you would have been asking questions about the butterflies because there was a butterfly that was injured. Can you remember that, Anne?
I'm sorry, I can't. No.
Don't worry, that's just something that she's put in my mind. So let me just give more context. It's like you would have been outside in the garden with your mum, and that you would have been looking at all the butterflies. And she's taking me back, and you would have been talking about the butterflies in different colours. Does that make sense to you? If not, don't worry.
I
Just
can understand a similar situation with myself and my daughter with a bee, which has just come into my head as you're speaking, but not
okay.
not with
I don't want to make it fit. Just let
no,
me.
no. That's what came to my head when you were
Okay.
speaking. But I can't remember the butterfly, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, don't be sorry. And I know as well that there would also be memories of your mum. And she's taking me again. She liked she liked making things. And again, she makes me feel that she would have liked, we've had it before, but she would have liked making pies and pastries. Would that make sense to you? And
It
again,
does.
she's showing me very intricate shapes that she would put on the top of her pies. Would that make sense to you? And
Yes.
and they're beautiful. I know that you would have been in the kitchen helping, and I know as well that she shows me like you licking out the bowl. Is that a memory?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
yeah, and that you like doing that. And I know as well that that there's this, that she's here, and there's just this sense of this. I feel that she's making me feel that there would have been like a healing connection between you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
my hands are tingling. So I know that you would have sent her healing before she passed to the spirit world. And I know that this would have helped her a lot. And I know as well that she's come back many times in gratitude for this. If that makes sense to you.
Yes.
And I know that she's here now because you would understand that that it would make sense to you that she's sending healing to you now. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And so all the time that you sent her healing helped her, and now she's sending you all this healing now to help you. And she just wants to say, it will help you. Just just go with it. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Thank you.
If I could just leave, I just want to leave all that love and healing for you, Anne, from your mum.
That's
And
lovely. Thank you
thank
very much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've got time for one more, Jenny.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I'm now aware that I have as a time another gentleman joining me as well. And as this gentleman's joining me, I do feel it. I've got another grandfather here. And as this grandfather's joining me, I know that this grandfather there would have been military connections with him. I know that he would have had some medals. I know that he would have been a very, very private person. And I know that there would be, and I know that there would be music playing, and I know that there would have been sort of, I know that there would be memory of some of the older Vera Lynn songs playing, and I know that there would be memories of almost like practicing marching and sort of saluting. So who does this make sense to? So I've got a grandfather here. There would have been who would have been involved in the military. There would be memories of hearing, some of those Vera Lynn White Cliffs of Dover songs, and there would have been memories of this, and there would have been quite a sort of a special relationship. So who's this making sense to at the moment for a grandfather? Okay, let me just get another piece of information. And I know that this grandfather, he's very astute, he makes me aware he's very clever, and he's also very, very knowledgeable. So who's this making sense to? Is there anyone that understands part of it?
Fiona's got a hand up.
Okay, so Fiona, do you understand
I
everything?
yeah, I understand it all, but I never met him. All this was given to me by my mum, who is a great Vera Lynn fan.
Okay, so if no one else understands it, then
Yeah, that's why I was waiting because
if I could work with you, Fiona, because because I've got this image of the White Cliffs of Dover, and
yeah,
so I know that that would have been an important memory for you, and And so you've told me that you never met him, but your mother has spoken about him. And
Yes,
I know as well that that your mother would have told you things about him. I feel that she would have told you that he makes me aware that he's very clever, very astute, but he holds all himself together. So he never would have talked about his feelings or what he was feeling, but he would tell stories. He's making me aware that he was good at telling stories.
yes. All that you said is correct.
Yeah. And the stories that he told, it's almost like they're like adventure stories
Yes,
that he
yeah,
was involved in, because he's put into my mind that they would be stories of when he was on the boats. And I feel that he's taking me to the Far East. Would that make sense to you?
no,
Okay, not Far East. Would you understand then that he would have been on boats, sailing and going to different countries?
no,
Okay, let me put that on there. I might have misinterpreted that. Would you understand then a connection to Burma?
no.
Okay,
I'm not sure. I know he was on the he fought in the World War One.
okay. Let me just put that
Yeah,
on there, because I don't
yeah.
want to make that fit. He's
That's
just
another person.
okay. I've just had in my mind Burma.
Yeah, no, that's another person.
I might have them both here, but let's try and
Yeah,
focus on your granddad. And I know that he was a very good storyteller, and I know that he could have held an audience with the words that he spoke and his charisma. That makes sense to you?
he did. Yes,
And that with this knowledge and everything, it's making me feel it's almost like he was an entertainer as well, an entertainer with his words and with his actions, and how he presented himself.
yeah. He used to work in front of audiences. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. And I know as well that he would have also expressed all this, and that he is making me aware as well that you would have some, it's almost like brown and white sepia photographs. Does that make
yes.
sense to
That
you?
have.
That you have, and I feel like there's one of him in uniform,
Yes,
and I feel that his wife is there.
yes,
Yeah, and and I also feel as well that these are very precious, and I know as well that he's here today, and it's just like him being remembered.
yes,
And so he's here wanting to be remembered, but also it's almost just like he wants to illustrate. Just it goes back to the address, that he's around and he
yes,
wants to be remembered, and he's just here just to say hello, and and just just to be remembered. So if I could leave his love
yes.
with you, and
Thank you very
thank you
much.
for working with me, Fiona.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. It's a lovely service. So our mediums next month are Matt and Kirsty Grogan, no stranger to the association. They've served us several times. We have several ministers who offer their services for naming ceremonies, friendship blessings, weddings, wedding blessings and funerals, or any service that you like. They can create the bespoke services. They'll make the services fit your requirements within the legal requirements of your country. In conjunction with the Psych Education Research Centre, we also offer recognised qualifications, excuse me, in communication mediumship, trance mediumship, healing mediumship, inspirational speaking, religious and life philosophy, spiritual ministry, and developing and delivering presentations, planning organizations, coordinating events. Our most recent addition is that we've been accepted by Focus Towards to teach the teacher. So that's a level 3 qualification in teaching and also assessing in the workplace environment. So if you're interested in those, if you go to our website, which is www.thepsychecentre.com, you'll find information there, or you can speak to me after or find me on Facebook. A big thank you to Jenny for her service and for all for joining us. And I'll ask Jenny if she'll close the service in prayer, please.
Thank you. Please join me. Father God, we thank you for your guidance this morning. We give gratitude to our loved ones in spirit who have drawn close to us to give us messages of comfort and healing. May your love envelop each and every one of us, and may we feel that love, and may it give us courage, faith, and hope for the days to come. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And to play us out, it's funny that Jenny mentioned memory. I was singing this song this morning, and it's by Lena Martell, so I thought I'd play it. And it's One Day at a Time.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus. I'm only human. I'm just a woman. Help me believe in what I could be and all that I am. Show me the stairway I have to climb. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus. Tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today. Show me the way, one day at a time. Do you remember when you walked among men? Well, Jesus, you know, if you're looking below, it's worse now than then. Cheating and stealing, violence and crime. So for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus. Tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today. Show me the way. One day at a
Mute. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for supporting us today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenny. It was lovely.
Thank
Thank you, Pip.
Thank you. Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, Marianne.
Yeah. See you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so thank you, Mark.